Scholars, welcome back to the Counselor's Office. I'm Mr. Gaming Counselor, and we are back with another video for you. Now, I'm not really for certain if this is going to be an Indie Bites, but if it is, surprise! If not, it's not Indie Bites. If it's short, then you know it's Indie Bites. Yeah, it's whatever. So, before we jump in, I don't have a comment of the day, but I do have my comment. We talked about Black Ops 2 and the Emblem editor. We have officially, I said it in the video I talked about Black Ops 2. I don't know if it's out yet. I should probably release that soon. But in that video, I talk about the Emblem maker. It is crazy. We had one about Epstein. We have one for Farquaad Charlie Kirk. I am waiting for the Diddy one. I'm waiting. I don't know how people are so damn good that they can do this. It is crazy. There are 32 slots in the Emblem maker, and people are this damn good. They are just that good. I don't know how they do it. Like, for real, I don't know how they do it. They do. They're absolutely insane. Sorry, I'm trying to get them stupid music to work. Black Ops 1 guy did it, yeah. And then we have this. We're talking about Destiny and Bungie, by the way. But we talked about the situation with them doing a revival for Marathon. I just want you to know that this is funny. If you are a Halo D2 fan or a Moot and haven't tried Marathon yet, I encourage you to message me. I will gift you a copy of the game and we can run some games together. Marathon is one of the most fun games I've ever played, and I'm not joking when I say it's top 3. It's crazy how desperate people are to convince people to play this game. You think if I message him saying, hey, buy a copy and I'll play it, you think he'll actually give me a copy? Even though, do you think he would give me a copy? And we can run some games here. What if I went undercover and did a video playing with this guy? Like, I wouldn't be an asshole. I'd just play just to see how, but it's just funny to me. When you are that fucking desperate to get people to play your game that you're willing to Sherpa and play a game and pay for it, like, dude, you need to stop to think about it. You have to stop and think. People are not stupid. They're not that stupid. Anyways, I thought that was funny, so that's why it's in the intro. So we have an article by Paul Tassi. Destiny 2's demise is existentially threatening, says Warframe creative director. We're talking about Digital Extremes today. I love Digital Extremes. They're a fantastic, studio. In fact, it's funny. It's like the yin to the yang. You have Bungie and then you have Digital Extremes. One company disrespects its community. The other one celebrates it. One gives its consumer and community what it wants. The other one ignores it completely. And I'm saying this for Bungie. They completely ignore it. And I'm not saying all developers are responsible for that. However, the studio as a whole is still an entity that I'm still going to blame. I'm tempted. I'm so terrible at PvP that I could make him regret that purchase. I mean, free game. I would probably not. Listen, I'm going to say this right now. I have recently started shitting on Marathon. I used to just shit on the Mara bots, but now I'm shitting on Marathon because there's nothing left of Bungie that I care about. So now I'm just going to go ahead and, I kept it to myself. Now I'm just going to shit on it for the fun of it. Why not? But as much as I shit on Marathon, and I'm not going to shit on Arc Raiders because it actually is a good game, but it's just not, it's not fun to me. Like, I have fun with it. And unlike Marathon, where I try to have fun, I feel like Marathon, I have to force myself to have fun and try to find something fun or engagement with it. Whereas I can just naturally have fun with Arc Raiders, but I still just, it's not for me. I'd rather play Tarkov, even though I suck at it. And I'm literally, every time I play, I get bitch slapped and I feel like an unk. because it's the true hardcore extract shooter. I love it. Maybe I'm a masochist. I don't know. I am okay with Tarkov bitch slapping me and, for the mother of Russia, take it to you, bitch. You bitch. You know, Russia, you suck us. But anyways, just so we're clear, like, I don't even play Arc Raiders, mostly because it's just not my cup of tea either. So I wouldn't play Marathon, but I also don't play Arc Raiders much anymore. When I say much anymore, I just don't. Well, this would happen in any normal season of Destiny 2, but the game is starting its downward slope in terms of players departing. It's not an abrupt drop-off, which is great to see, and it's still performing well a month after its final update, Monument of Triumph. But there's the rub, the final update. Nothing else is coming here for the formerly live game. Another game in the live service shooter game, Warframe, has been running in parallel with Destiny for ages. Notice that, there's a Destiny 2 and not a Warframe 2. Also, notice that there's a Destiny that's no longer in service, no longer getting service, and then there's Marathon, which is not financially successful. And notice that there's Warframe, and then there's Soulframe, which is not, causing the other to go out of service. Maintaining perhaps greater consistency over time and still surviving, even thriving to this day. But rather than celebrating a win over the departed Destiny, it's making its higher-ups sad and nervous. Some new comments come from Warframe's creative director, Rebb Ford, in an interview with Game Radar during the recent TennoCon. It's horrible news because it shows that even if you care so much, the business side of the industry always gets the last remark. And I want people to really understand this. No, your keyboard warrioring in comment section of videos because you're angry about what's covering it, your keyboard warring, as bots on Twitter, is not going to change anything. And I said this kind of technically about Destiny as well, with everyone desperate, try to convince Sony, people, doing the petition, all that keyboard warring. They don't give a shit. They're going to do what makes money. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. Now, I did participate for the memes and, just, hey, let's just do it to do it. But I don't put any stock, and nor should you, when it comes to trying to post things online to convince, a $1 billion company that, hey, you're wrong. The only way you're going to convince them is hit them in the pocket, which is kind of what people don't want to do with Marathon and Bungie right now. They don't want to hit them in the pocket. Well, the Marabots don't, at least. But that's the only way that you've got to, make them change, is you got to hit them where it hurts. Those are the types of stories and experiences that when you're in a position where you have your own game, your own IP, and you work as hard as you do on it, that's not the first time it's happened, and it'll happen again. Where the business aspect of the video game economy makes the decision for you, and it's existentially threatening at every level, because the idea that we aren't in charge of our own goodbye is something I wake up thinking about every single day. Which I personally would say that Digital Extremes doesn't have to worry about that. But, and I'm saying a big but, if we look at games like Epic Games and Fortnite, massively successful, pretty much the template of every live service game now, with MTX and battle passes, all that has been derivative from Fortnite's success. And even Fortnite can no longer Fortnite like they used to. They had layoffs, they had to close down game modes, because it's no longer the live service popularity is dying down. Digital Extremes and Warframe's been going for many years. Not to say that they're jamming out, they're meeting their consumers' needs. They are continuing to pump out content that's exciting. Like we just had TennoCon. Like it was just exciting. It made me look forward to the future of Warframe, and that's always a good thing. But again, when you look at Epic Games of Fortnite, they do the same thing, trying to make people excited, try to get people involved. It's not the same community level as Digital Extremes. I'm just saying as just the consumption as a consumer in general, the consumerism went down for the success of Fortnite. that could happen to any game. And if it happens to the most successful games, it could happen to other successful games or games that are not in the same ballpark, but they're still successful by their own means. And Warframe is successful. Being able to, continue to make the same game for 13 years and grow and evolve and continue to maintain pretty consistent patterns of player population is insane. Not only that, but they are growing. They now work on every platform. Apple, Android, Nintendo Switch, Steam Deck, PC, Epic, like Steam. I think, are they on Epic Games? I don't know. Xbox, PlayStation, like you can play Warframe on anything. Fortnite has re-released actual bikini skins. Seems they're losing steam. Yeah, that's funny. That's a kid's game. I saw that when you start releasing ecchi, bikini, sexy skins, you're trying to get people to buy your shit. Now, Warframe does that too, but they've been doing that for years. If you look at Warframes, they've always got little ass. There's always a little ass and titty for you, just not the kind that you would expect, right? In the case of Destiny, there were year-long plans for the second game, and if it was up to the devs at Bungie, most would eagerly have hopped on board the production of a Destiny 3, but cost killed the game. Partially due to the poor management decisions that exacerbated those costs, and partially due to the baseline of a game that requires such an enormous investment to maintain endless live content. As I previously reported, there have only been a few times in history that Destiny 2 has been profitable. Well, the thing is every time, this is very easy to point out. Every time Destiny has had motion or an opportunity to pop off, someone at Bungie, leadership or whatever, even developers are to blame to certain degrees. Again, I had someone that got mad because they're like, you're just blaming the developers. I'm blaming all Bungie, because at all levels, there are people who need to take accountability, because it's not just Pete Parsons who decided to change certain aspects of the sandbox or the narrative. There are people specifically at all levels that are responsible for shitifying Destiny. But the ones that truly impacted the overall detriment of the IP is leadership. But leadership isn't just the C-suite. It's the leads for the narrative. It's the leads for the sandbox. It's the leads for the game design. There are people, leads in different levels. Upper, lower management, C-suite. Ultimately, we all can agree that the C-suite is you see a pyramid of responsibility? Like, you see that. At some point, it trickles down and everyone's responsible for different aspects. And so that's where we're at, right? That's where we're at. The point being is that Destiny could have been profitable, but every time it seems like they sabotage themselves. Into the Light, the final shape, was a great ending. And that should have been when they led into Monument of Triumph, or leading and saying, hey, we're doing this, but we've got a great announcement. We're working on Destiny 3. Monument of Triumph would have been absolutely received well. The announcement of Destiny 3 would have been received well. Things would have been looking good. But that's not where they went to. Lightfall. The build up from Witch Queen, people loved Witch Queen. It was fantastic. It had a lot of hype. Then going to Lightfall, which had the highest Steam momentum, right? It was on PC, very noticeable. You had multiple streamers highlighting this to the wider gaming audience, and Lightfall was the biggest steaming pile of shit. Now, is it as shit as Edge of Fate and Renegades? No, those are bigger piles of shit. But Lightfall at that time, compared to Witch Queen, was just awful. Fortnite is less of a kid's game than Resident Evil and makes war into a game and glorifies killing as a fun activity. Well, see, I would ultimately, kind of agree, but even Roblox has shooter games. So it is fundamentally, it fundamentally is a kid-friendly game. But I would say that's more up to the parents. Like, would I let my kid play Fortnite? Probably not. They're going to be playing Pokemon and Minecraft. Like, I'm going to give you emulators of the classic Pokemon. You're getting a Minecraft to play, and you can shoot and fight creepers and mod it and do whatever. But I'm going to avoid giving my kids consoles for quite some time unless it's a Nintendo Switch. Crimson Desert keeps updating the game. I haven't finished yet because I'm waiting for them to finish the updates. Same. I agree. Right until the end. But so just to wrap up this, Destiny 2 has been profitable. It would have been more profitable, but every time that, like, Forsaken, fantastic. And I know Activision separated them, but Bungie used the hype for the year of Forsaken to lead them into Shadowkeep, where people were willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. And that's when they started dropping the ball, because immediately after the year of Shadowkeep, where people were giving Bungie, slack, what do? They shoot themselves. They take a baseball bat to the head by removing paid content. Any goodwill that they had received from Forsaken, where they could have maybe made a profit, completely was flushed down the toilet. And then again, with Witch Queen, at the beginning, they removed more. Which, again, Witch Queen did a good job on its own, but people were still pissed off with the fact that content was lost. But Witch Queen carried. Lightfall did not went backwards. The people don't remember, but loot was a problem all the way up to Lightfall. The loot was bare bones. We didn't have hardly any guns. Bungie removed thousands of guns, and they never replaced it in a timely fashion. They removed so much content that the loot was boring. Lightfall had some of the worst loot in the game. It was awful. The raid weapons, trash. The planet weapons, trash. Witch Queen had very little weapons as well. There was only a couple of weapons that were really exciting overall. It was literally the gameplay and the narrative that carried that. And the raid Val was probably the best pieces of content that kept a lot of veterans busy, because the loot was actually good there. But I mean, them removing multiple times in different, expansion launches, paid content, removed any potential of them making a profit. So, I mean, that's just my thoughts on that. Right until the end, you could feel the passion of Destiny devs with an exceptional final update that put the game in its best state in years. Right before there was no more content to play. By the way, I just want to point out, when they make content that's fun rather than shit that was, cash grab like Renegades, and the shit that's a shitty narrative like Edge of Fate. When you focus on actually giving people what they want versus the bullshit art you're trying to make, you make a good game. That's why Monument of Triumph is good. It's not necessarily the passion, because I'm sure there's a bunch of devs that actually got to do what they wanted to do. But there are people like in the narrative lead or in the sandbox lead or the game design lead who said, no, we want you to make Edge of Fate and Renegades, this shit that no one really, the wider gaming audience doesn't give a shit about. But Monument is exactly what everyone wanted. Everyone is happy with this. This is Destiny at its prime and its end. The best time to play Destiny is at the end of its life. If that isn't the literal grave mark statement, Destiny's best is when it's almost dead, or it is dead. When Bungie's back against the wall is the only time they make good content. The player surge was higher than both of the last two expansions, despite almost nothing new to play. And again, it maintains good numbers after a month, but those will continue to continue falling, which cannot be helped. Ford may be right to be nervous about the state of the industry and working on a very similar game. Warframe's digital extremes does not have to answer to Sony, however, and costs are not the same level as Destiny, but they figured out a sustainable groove, and there's no sign of the game ending anytime soon remotely. And again, as someone who consumes the shit out, like, I'm master rank 30, and I would be higher, but I just play the game too much to sit there and farm out all the guns. I just play and have fun. As someone who plays Warframe, you know, thousands of hours, or almost 2,000 hours. I know those are rookie numbers. That's what happens when you're juggling Warframe and Destiny with 13,000 hours or plus with Destiny 2. Yeah, I kind of wish I put more time in Warframe, to be honest. But I don't regret the experiences I had overall. There was a lot of positive experiences. But I don't think Warframe and Digital Extremes has to worry about that. Not yet. They're doing everything correctly. They fostered a great supporting community. Their community, I'm going to tell you right now, if they came out and said that they are dire straits, people would start buying a shit ton of things from their store to support them. Absolutely. They had a GoFundMe for the company. People would donate to keep it going. Not much can be said about Bungie. There's a chunk that would, but realistically, I don't think it would make nearly as much as Warframe would on their GoFundMe. They fostered that community, and they continue to support that community and engage with that community and provide exactly, like, I'm going to tell you right now, if Bungie talked the way they used to do in Destiny 1, those dev streams, those silly interactions, those raid-alongs, the general interaction, the old Bungie, along with doing moment of triumph updates. Every expansion is a moment of triumph vibe. The giving the player exactly what they want experience every time. I think Destiny would have been profitable. I think Destiny would have been fine. I think Bungie would have been fine. But Bungie and their leaders and their in-between devs, their managers, whatever, continued to fumble the ball and make bad choice after bad choice and continue to go the opposite direction of Digital Extremes and Warframe. DE foster pay if you want instead of pay it because you have to. Yes. Destiny, Bungie tried to milk the community and say, hey, pay all this, to play all our function. It's crazy. Warframe's 100% free. Destiny, you have to pay to play. It's free to try. And that's it. And it's funny because a game that's free to play, that's had 13 years of going on, is still alive compared to the game that was used as towards the end as a cash grab. As an LR6 with everything aside from founders, my suggestion is drag out the legendary ranks. It's a journey. I was MR30 a while until I had everything unlocked. Well, I could also be Maddox and just buy everything with platinum. I could just do what Maddox did. And within 2 years, just buy everything. No shade to him. I don't know if that's really what he did, but shout out to him for getting LR6. Maybe I'm inspired to do it. Maybe it's a challenge to finally do it. But anyways, I don't think Digital Extremes has to worry about it right now. But again, I can't speak for them. I'm speaking from a consumer perspective, not a developer. But as a consumer, I'm willing to continue to support this company. I can tell you how much have I feel like I've made at least $1,000 into Warframe. Maybe $800. I definitely spent $800 something. Yeah, because I remember I've done multiple deluxes and whatnot. Anyways, I'm Mr. Gaming Counselor. Let me know what you think down below. And if you are a Warframe fan, do you think Digital Extremes has anything to worry about? And how far are you willing to go to make sure to support them, should I say? How far are you willing to support them? As always, I'll see you next one. Game out. Huzzah.